Welcome to the next lesson. Great job so far. In this lesson, we show how to attach fusing and how to add the chest piece to the jacket. Let's look at the spec sheet. It states here that there are two types of fusing. Those marked in red are woven interlining, and those marked in green are non-woven interlining. The two fabrics are available in the materials folder you have downloaded from the previous lesson. We add these two fabrics to V-Stitcher. We have hidden the patterns previously, so on the Resources tab, under 2D, we click the drop-down to display a menu. Then click Use All Pieces. We next change the fabric colors to match the spec sheet so that everything is clear. Then we assign the materials to the respective patterns. To apply the fusing on the garment, we use the Attach function. When we add an attachment to a pattern with symmetry, how can we add the same attachment onto the symmetrical pattern? Is it A, by creating a symmetrical pattern, canceling the symmetry, and attaching it to the other pattern? B, by using the magic mirror tool? C, by using the copy and paste commands to copy the attachment to the other pattern, then flipping the attachment? The correct answer is B. The other options work, but are not the most efficient way to do this. For patterns without symmetry like the back patterns, we need to use option A, which is to create symmetrical patterns for the fusing before attaching them. While doing so, we create symmetry for the chest piece as well. The Attach function does not support symmetry, so we need to cancel the symmetry of the fusing patterns. We select the child patterns, then cancel the symmetry. For those patterns with inner symmetry, like the collar and collar stand, we must select Keep Both when canceling symmetry. Now we can begin the attaching process. We drag and align the fusing to the pattern we want to attach to. Let's start with the front pattern. We turn on Snap to Point to ensure the patterns are aligned properly. If the fusing pattern is below the shell pattern, we adjust the order of the patterns. Next, we select the fusing and click Attach. In the 3D window, the fusing is now visible on the outside of the garment. We select the fusing and move the attachment to the inside to hide it. The next step is to magic mirror it to the other side. We click on the attachment, and in the context view, under Actions, click the magic mirror drop-down. We only need to copy the shape, so we click Shape, and that's it. Now we repeat this for all the patterns. You can pause the video here and try to attach all the fusing elements first, or you can watch and attach as we go. We continue to attach the fusing for all the symmetrical patterns first. The fusing pattern for the bottom back hem is not correct. We slice out the excess before attaching. To do so, we place the pattern and align it over the shell pattern. We turn off textures and select the diagonal edges of the shell pattern. We use trace as internal line, and now we can slice the fusing pattern along the internal lines. We enable textures in the 2D window and continue to attach. When we attach the collar fusing, since we don't have a top or bottom collar, the fusing is visible in the 3D window. We now lock the fusing patterns in place. After we are done attaching all the fusing patterns, we change the transparency of the interlinings to 100%. The last fusing to attach is the one on the lapel facing. Similar to the collar, we lock the fusing in place so we don't accidentally move it via the 3D window. If there's a transparent shadow in the 3D window, this is caused by the thickness of the interlining fabrics. Let's edit the physics of those fabrics and change the thickness to 0. The last step is to update the simulation. The jacket has stiffened up in those areas where the fusing is attached. The chest piece uses horsehair material. For this, we'd like to use a substitute material which would be stiff enough to emulate the horsehair material. The horsehair material is available in the Materials folder. We add the fabric to V-Stitcher. Then, we assign it to the chest pieces. The chest piece has 2 darts. There are already internal lines available, so we can select those lines and convert them to a dart. The next step is to adjust the 3D layers. The chest pieces will be stitched to the shell patterns, along the shoulder and the armhole, so it needs to be a layer lower than the shell patterns. For this, we increase the shell pattern's 3D layers. Let's start with the lowest layer, the right front bodice. We increase it to be layer 5. The right chest piece should therefore be layer 4. Since the chest piece will also be stitched under the side bodice, we also increase the side bodice on the wearer's right pattern to 5. Next, the left lapel facing. We increase the layer to 6. The left chest piece should then be layer 7, followed by the left shell bodice, which should be layer 8. The same as the left side bodice as well. We need to adjust the pocket patterns. The lower welt will be layer 9, the flap will be layer 10, and the top welt will be layer 11. The chest pocket needs to be on layer 9. To avoid any collisions at the armpit, we increase the shell sleeve pattern's 3D layers. We select both bottom sleeves and change them to layer 10. The top sleeves would then be layer 11. Lastly, the collar. Since it folds over the bodice, it should be a layer higher than the bodice, meaning that it should be on layer 9. Great. The next step is to stitch the chest pieces. The armhole of the chest piece extends by 1.6 centimeters to the side bodice as well. There are already corner points and notches on the armhole of the chest piece. We will be stitching these pieces to the shell pattern so we can move them up closer to the shell patterns. We start by stitching the top edge of the armhole to the front shell. Then the small edge is stitched to the side bodice. We check that the stitch is not flipped. The last edge is the shoulder edge. We lock the lining pieces as we did in the previous lesson so that the jacket won't move up too much when dressing the chest pieces. We add the chest pieces into the torso cluster and ensure that Use in 3D is enabled. Next, we dress the garment. We may need to use the pinch tool to adjust the simulation slightly. And we're done! Remember to save your file before moving to the next lesson.